And where in that case it backfired, she was a very headstrong European woman, and at somewhere along the date, she really decided that she really liked me. And somewhere along the date, I was just having fun and decided that she's not for me. So I text her the thing next day. It was great night, your son. Just didn't quite go much. And she's like, "What do you mean? It was great. We're going on another day." So I met her on the league. Very very beautiful woman. Great date. She's laughing and putting her hand on me, and I feel like, oh, I'm doing great. It's awesome how this all works, and I'm so good at this now. Then fast forward, week later, we do another date, some kind of coffee date. I still have the picture probably. And then she hits me with the old, marketing student. And so I say, oh, okay, that sounds great. And I do arrangements to, just help me with my expenses and stuff. So I'm like, oh. I was sitting on the bench and she walked up from the parking lot, and I immediately was amazed how beautiful, and it clicked more or less right away. Not immediately for love or anything like that, but definitely was, yeah, something. There was something there right away for me.
Welcome to the Match Artist Podcast. Today we have Gunnar, and he has a pretty emotional story with his past after having his wife pass and then finding love again. And yeah, we're excited to dive in and see how he's doing. Welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Yeah, great to be here. It's been, not in the first wave of the clients, but it was,
Close to it.
yeah, I've known you for a while
Yeah.
and kept in touch a bit. And so yeah, when was your initial photo shoot?
No, and I think it was about 5 years ago. Yeah, pretty
Years.
sure. Just the start of COVID, beginning first year of COVID.
Yeah, that was a rough time for everybody. Especially those in business, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked at your questionnaire. I think you filled it out in it was August of 2020, something like that.
Yes. And yeah, I just remember it was a long, long time ago.
Yeah, I was thinking it would be, because you're how old are you now?
I'm 53.
53. Okay. So you've had a decent bit of dating throughout the years, and thought it'd be um, helpful for people listening to, go back to the beginning for a little bit. What was, when were you, when did you meet your wife?
In a different era when dating was very different. So I met her in my 20s, late 20s. We just tell you before, back then, how people met, I had a couple of long-term girlfriends, and I met them organically at one dancing at the club, and the other one was my high school sweetheart. So that was back in the late 80s, early 90s, how people met. And then I met Sally, my late wife, in Lancaster, in England, where we both went for an MBA program. And we were all sitting in a amphitheater. A couple of the students came in the second day. They were a little bit late, and the professor introduced them in front of everybody. So they were very nervous, and one of them was her. And immediately, like people say, oh, you're gonna marry her, but not like that. I immediately was attracted to her, and she ended up sitting in front of me for the whole year, and when we had classes there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you started sweet talking her a little bit.
Yeah, it's very natural because it was a full-time MBA program, so the students naturally spent a lot of time together, and we were all in our late 20s or older, and we were in dorms, and we would cook together in the evenings. We would have activities, and so that was very natural. About 50 students, about 3 or 4 marriages came out of that.
Okay.
Yes.
So you guys were doing projects together and stuff like that?
Yes, and pretty soon we started dating and, yeah, being together.
Okay. So what was the but you asked her out at some point, I'm guessing. What was that like?
So with my high school, I never really good at with women. You could say my high school girlfriend. We were doing stuff together for 6 months or something. Going out and watching movies. And then eventually I asked her, "Are you my girlfriend?" And she said, "Yes, I am, dummy." So that tells you my level of expertise at that time. Um, and then with Sally, I don't remember. It kind of naturally just where we were together. We didn't even officially made it clear.
Yeah.
And then what happened was when the program ended in Lancaster, it was 12 months. I had to make some kind of move because she was going to back. I forgot to mention it. She was from Trinidad, Caribbean island. And so I'm from Germany, so I had to make some kind of move because she was going to go back home and I was going to go back home. So I didn't propose then, but I told her, I wanted to us to be together and how do we make that happen?
So it was pretty quick within the 12 months of the program that you were ready to go.
Yeah, yeah, no, it was beautiful. And then we spent maybe a year or two remote. I was finishing my school. Um, And then we decided we wanted to go to the US and live here because English is her or was her first language,
Okay.
not German. And I wanted to leave Germany anyway. So I got a job in St. Louis. Yeah, we started our life there.
Okay. So St. Louis, what were you doing for work?
I work as an assistant for the CEO of a large company. So I guess today we'll call it chief of staff role. Um, there's a publicly traded company that makes silicon wafers.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was good. So Lewis was okay, nothing against it. Slow paced. I moved to Austin for a job about 20 years ago, or we moved together, and it was yeah, they're a much better fit. I love Austin.
Yeah. It's definitely changed quite a bit since when you got here.
The only high rise back then was the Frost Tower, pretty much. So
Okay.
yeah.
What area were you guys in?
Always the same area. Bought a house in Circle C. Still,
Oh,
still,
same
still,
house
yeah, still
or
live in it
oh,
to
wow.
this day. Yes.
Probably appreciated in value just a little bit.
Although, frankly, if you hold it for 20 years, I know it's not investment podcast, but I would have done better. Put that money into an S&P 500 index. So yeah. So we've been in Austin ever since.
Yeah, so you're in Austin, and I mean, maybe you can just kinda give a like a recap of your story because it's when just processing through the questions to ask, it's just, having a wife pass. I mean, it's just one of the most difficult things I can think of, the hardest thing I could imagine in my life, even only being married for 3 years. It hits me just thinking about it.
For sure. You bond very deeply. We were married for a little over 20 years, known each other for about 25, I want to say.
Mhm.
Um, and we have two kids together. So it's a hard time. She had breast cancer um, at some point, and she beat that. And then a few years later, around her 5-year cancer-free anniversary, she actually ended up getting stomach cancer, and that's a very, very nasty thing to have. And within 6 months, she passed away.
Oh, wow.
And that's it was terrible in so many ways. The children, there were 13 or so, and Lucas, I want to say about 16, 17, so older. Um, and it was heartbreaking when I had to tell them that their mom had, she's at the hospital and she passed away from a stroke as a side effect of the medication that she took. Um, so it was actually fairly sudden.
Faster than were you given, like, 6 months kinda thing, or was it
They didn't really tell us much, but I could tell, not a lot of time, and they're always very much like, "Okay, there's we can do this treatment, and that's the next step, and then that's the next step." Yeah, well, I was in denial, quite frankly. I was like, "Yeah, this is great, and this look, they have this one person that took the stomach out, and now she wins marathons," and, 'cause they always have these beacons of hope, but stomach cancer is not that kind of cancer. So what happened, and it was, probably, not a bad thing. Um, Instead of going through the whole cancer journey that we already knew what it was going to be like from the breast cancer, just paying for the chemotherapy, the hair loss, the loss of appetite, and it's just horrible in so many ways and drawn out. With breast cancer, at least, you go through those steps and you're probably going to live. Um, but with stomach cancer, the chances are, even going through all the steps, you're not going to. So, what happened is that she, as a side effect from one of her medications, she got a bleeding in her neck brain stem. Um, and one night she woke up, talked a little bit of gibberish, and then passed out. I called 911. They came to her house. They took her. They took her to Dell, to the highest qualified medical center. Um, and they said she had massive bleeding, her brain basically destroyed. So it basically, they kept her alive, but she was gone, and I had to tell my kids. And that was during COVID. I don't know if you remember, there's a lot of people who tried to see their family at the hospital, and they couldn't go, and they were shutting everything down. Um, so we were very grateful to the hospital that they let us go see her. I have not really shared that story a lot, and I don't mind sharing it right now. Um, so they brought us in and allowed us to be with her when they disconnected the life support. So that was, and I wanted it that way because I thought it's, one, I wanted it, and I also thought for the children it was better to see her. Um, so they brought us in, and we talked to her, we said our goodbyes. Then the children left, and I stayed with her while they were disconnecting the life support. And then she lived for another half hour, something like that, and I was with her, and that was at least a chance to say goodbye.
Wow,
Yeah, it's brutal.
that is just the idea of having, 30 minutes more, to
Yeah. And she was obviously not awake or conscious in any way, shape, or form. It was just her body at that point. Um, but it gave us a chance to see her last time.
yeah. Wow, that's I mean, so surprising and, yeah, brutal. Like, what was the next couple of weeks like?
Yeah, it's
And this was, like, this is during COVID in
yeah, pretty much right.
2020?
Yeah, it was during COVID. COVID had nothing to do with it, but it was right when it started. Um, it was, as far as it took me out, as you would imagine. I didn't want to do anything, but I had my kids. I had to keep them going, and that was my biggest fear, that it would knock them out of their path. And luckily, somehow, it did not. So we all processed in our own way and continued on. There were resources, we had friends and support, and life was just on pause. And then the school year, she died in April of 2020. So then school, um, at that point, school was not really in session because of COVID. So the kids didn't really miss anything. They passed the year just fine. And then by the time they started back school in August, we were headed at least together where they could go back. And we're a German family. I think you're also a little bit northern, we stuff everything inside. So that's what we kind of did. There's a lot of stuffing inside going on.
So is kind of the prolonged or prolonging the grieving process sort of thing?
Yeah, it is really a process, and they say it never ends, and it's so true because you still think of her. I think of her every day. There are reminders, yeah, things that come up. You do your tax return, and she's still there. For she's on the deed of the house. She gets junk mail still, believe it or not. So that's, and it doesn't hurt at this point. It's just a gentle reminder, which I actually don't mind. Or she's here somehow. And, I tell the children that uh, she can't be with us physically, but she is with us in some way. I'm sure of it. Um, and so, yeah, we kind of soldiered on. I was thinking in the beginning, okay, I can just turn all my whatever assets I have, we had savings and whatnot, put it all into a CD, be frugal, and never work or do anything else in my life because that's how I felt like. I just want to be sitting at home and be miserable. And then slowly you come out of that and you feel like, okay, I have to do something. Um, so I started doing little work projects again, and eventually I joined some friends in the company. Um, so it's a very gradual process.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the stories of, the guys we work with and, I know we'll get to that, but just like kind of this idea that, anybody coming in that we're taking photos of, it's like, I mean, we do have a detailed questionnaire, but it's like I wish I had known more, and it's like it's always difficult to ask about things like that, especially when, we've had a number of clients with um wives that have passed away.
Okay, it's
And
not that uncommon. I know it's more like probably divorce is more
yeah,
typical,
that's
or
the most common
yeah,
outside of you have your younger
younger
career
guys who are
guys,
just looking for,
then
yeah.
yeah, and it's like some of my favorites to work with. I mean, it is like I do like working with the divorce guys because it's just, kind of this what do I do now? But I would assume, just even like in your case, that's like I mean, it's just the most heartbreaking thing and the guys that I want to help the most, situations like yours.
Yeah, you definitely did. It was one of the things I was pretty certain about from very early on is that I didn't want to be alone. Part that was I really needed the companionship, but also um, wanting to fix something, like wanting to have somebody get married again and everything goes back to normal. As I said, the urge of that. Um, but Sally and I talked about it a lot because she knew she was very sick. And so what was her tearing her up the most wasn't that she might die or not die, but the fact that she would leave us and she didn't know how it would affect the boys, because they're children and me. Um, so she was almost like, uh, yeah, she would every time she would go in for some surgery, she look at me like, if I don't come out, you can find somebody. It's okay. She was just worried about me because she knew me. Like I can't be alone. And we, we will talk about it. My current relationship, is a big part of getting to know myself better. Um, that I can't or I don't do well without company. I guess that's not unusual. It's pretty much
I'm similar, yeah.
everybody. I just it's difficult. Um, and so that's why I then started to go back into looking for a companion.
Yeah. So wait, what were I mean, just a little bit more on the like those conversations that you guys had. Like, was that something that I mean, she sounds like an incredible, selfless woman that I mean, just to even think like I want you to
Oh yeah, but
like,
think about it the other way around. If it was you, right? Wouldn't you
oh yeah.
want for your wife be like, because would you want her to be, celibate, never have a boyfriend? No, you'd be like, go find somebody that makes you happy. I'm so sorry I can't be with you. It's a very different situation from when you're divorced and your ex is probably gonna be, difficult, especially if you have kids together and all that. So
Yeah. Yeah, I've thought about that and I think about my motivations to do better in life and I've lost some weight and being healthier and I know I should the whole like do it for me and I'm like no I do it for Allie. I want to be healthy because the idea I'm not fearful of yeah I guess that sounds kind of like obnoxious. I'm not fearful of death. We're all scared to die I guess in a certain way but like it's not an extremely strong feeling, but the feeling I have is like I want Allie to be happy, in any way. And it's like I know I'm able to provide a good amount of the happiness that we have together. And so like yeah, of course I'd want her to be happy with someone else,
for sure. And it makes you more aware, also more intentional about how you spend your time and who do you give your time to. And um, it definitely, yeah, made me look at life in a very different way, for sure. I mean, I would have done that to anybody.
Yeah. So when was it after she passed that you were and you'd obviously been thinking about it like I cannot be alone, but like when were you thinking or starting to entertain the idea? I'm like I think I need to find somebody or at least start the process again.
Well, I wanna say it was about 6 months in, and I wanna make sure I'm gonna go look at it, but I don't think we were working together in August 2020. That would have been early. We can check on it. Um, so my first recollection was probably around the fall, like around 6 months or so. I started doing dating app stuff. I was completely lost in terms of how all that works. And um, yeah, it was quite the journey from there.
Yeah. So you realize that online dating is kind of the way that people meet nowadays. Wish you
Yes.
knew that, but
Yeah.
like
I guess nowadays they're saying all the dating apps, people don't want them anymore and all that. But 5 years ago was still the main thing.
yeah.
And also, I'm very introverted. I was never the guy who goes to the bar and is like, "Hey, I want a drink or something." I just can't do it. So
Yeah.
I had to. So the apps appealed to me in that way because it's a certain system, and when you learn it, and I read all the books and you know what to say, and there's the online coaches, and then you can work with that, I guess. So,
Yeah, the introvert. I remember our session, your shirt that was it introverted but willing to talk about dogs or something?
yeah, so exactly, yes. So I was very much or still am introverted, so
Yeah.
I don't go out to mingle with strangers. It's just not my thing.
Yeah. Did you try online dating before you got photos done?
Yeah, I did my own photos for a while. It's a little hazy because so many years, but certainly in the beginning, I just took my own pictures and tried to get that going. And then I quickly figured out how hard it is to to get matches and all that if you kind of do your own thing.
Yeah. Actually pulled up oh my
Your
god,
your original.
yes.
Can we delete it? Burn this?
No, that'll get shown on the we gotta see where you started. You're
That's actually not the worst. In the beginning, I did post pictures of myself, just basically live pictures and doing things. It's just bad. Yeah, I have them somewhere. I just didn't know what to do. And I was very honest on the apps. In the beginning, I would just literally put my story, hey, lost my wife, looking for somebody, and all that. And it's more or less crickets, because that's not how the apps work. You can't put too much into it from the beginning. And then it was a journey. I was reading all the books, watching
which books
YouTube.
were you like, what were
Um,
your influences?
Pretty much everything from female psychology, like how try, because when you're married and you've been with your wife for 20 years, have you don't even think about looking into it. You know each other so well, and you don't need that. But then now I had to figure out how even the female mind works and what women want and how to make them happy. And so I read psychology books. I read all the way the game, of course,
Sure.
the
The
classic.
classic, yeah.
The classic. I'm like, okay, am I gonna dress like a peacock and go out and probably not my way of doing it, but just the whole, and then everything in between, the dating coaches and um, so took it quite seriously. And I purchased some programs online where you pay a few bucks and give you things to say on text and um, what pictures to take and what you should the prompts, what should you answer the prompts, all this stuff, right? So I was on all the apps, and then I was learning by doing. Um, you text endlessly with a lot of people, and you start learning, and then I started to go on dates too. So.
Yeah. So you went on some dates from the photos that you were using
Oh
beforehand?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. And I think, and you can talk about or when we get to what it's like today, which I don't know too much anymore, but it's different now. It's even harder than it was back then. So I had matches, I had dates, actually quite a lot of them, and I had a couple of relationships. So yeah, I mean the apps work
Yeah.
or worked at the time, but I don't know what it's now.
Oh, they definitely still work. It's just I think people are the whole swipe fatigue, and they're burnt out of online dating, and, um I mean, I think of, when we shoot photos with guys, it's like, this is your shot here. You have these fresh pictures, and it's time to be intentional with the dating. And but yeah, I mean, it's difficult out there because people are burnt out, and more people are using online dating to troll or to not really take it seriously.
Yeah, that was case of Amanda, and don't want to jump ahead, but she basically did it just to troll people for validation. I don't know validation. If for her it was a game. I know a lot of people, and that's not her. Um, a lot of women on the apps, they just want the likes, the validation of getting, hi, you're hot, whatever. So, and when you are in the apps, you see the female profiles. In my case, depending what you're looking for, and there's a world out there for sure.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
So, yeah, in terms of the actual photo shoot itself, I think yeah, back then I was still taking the calls and uh, shot with, yeah, I shot with you, which is, yeah, I was like I was telling you earlier, but just for those watching, it's fun to have, and yeah, all these things we'll get to in a bit, but the full circle moments where, I don't do as many of the match artist shoots anymore. It's more of our photographers, but just having those guys where it's like full circle, where I, took that initial call, did the shoot, and, saw the journey.
You and me at the time, you didn't have an assistant or, you were not, yeah, it was very, and I remember the time well because just right after we did ours, suddenly you started signing some clients that were out of town and you get to travel and you had more clients. I'd always feel like maybe it's your good luck charm and, you started, your business started to take off, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, and that definitely happened, but I also remember at the beginning when we were working kind of based on that course that you had purchased, and so I'm like, "I'm gonna read up on this and, understand more about it," and there was that section about matching on the dating app and moving the conversation to Instagram, text Instagram kinda thing, and then, like, using the story kinda thing, and that it was shooting with you that was like, "Okay, I need to try this out to just, like,
Yeah.
prove the concept." I'm like, "I'm gonna see if this works," kinda thing, both for you and for the clients, and that was I mean, inadvertently, it was when I started to date more intentionally, tweak some things with my bio, and, it was mainly the Instagram thing, and that was the same month I met my wife. It was that kinda that same
Forget the
yeah.
business. You met your wives.
Yeah, it was that strategy that you shared was the Instagram thing, to kinda and for those that aren't as familiar, it's more of like women are bombarded by lots of matches and they get really sick of too many messages saying, "Hey, how are you?" And so the goal is to, they might download the apps and use them for a few days and then delete them again once they get sick of it. But if you can get the conversation off onto Instagram, that's kind of, you know, for some women, like their public validation or, hey, you're hot kind of thing. So they're not going to delete that. And so I
Yeah.
ended up working.
Yeah, not only know Amanda's that type of person, but there are a lot of them out there, and you can even smell it when you see the dating profile, and it's just about, then leaning in, showing, oh, it's a bit the first picture is a bikini shot.
Mm.
You already know which way that's going, and when I saw Amanda's profiles, I liked it a lot because they were just goofy shots of her all around town doing goofy things,
Do
not
you have any of them?
yeah, I sure do. She's beautiful. She had plenty of model shots, and she didn't use any of those for her profile. And that's the complete opposite of what you see more on the apps, where the women will they have filters and you can start because you swipe a lot. You see a lot of profiles and start understanding what's going on just looking at the pictures.
Yeah. So yeah, we're almost to Amanda, but um, in terms of the actual photo shoot, like, what was your mindset going into the photos? It's like you'd booked a call, you booked the shoot kind of thing, but like, what was the kind of the thought beforehand?
Um, it was all part of what I said, where I just put my focus on it, and all the different pieces have to have in place. And all the apps have a profile, build pictures. The pictures is one part of it, and the dating coaches that I followed or the programs that I bought, whatever, for $100 online, they always said, get a professional photographer.
Mhm.
And then, I got you through that program, I believe, or I'm not quite sure how we got together, but luckily we did. And then, yeah, the rest is history.
Yeah. Were you nervous for the photos? Had you gotten photos done at all before outside of like senior or?
No, just like everybody and like me right now is whenever you're on camera or hear your own voice, it's always a horrible experience. So you did a really good job in terms of making me comfortable. We walked around town, and you taught me a few things like the smoke thing, and how you. And it was really, really helpful. You were great.
Yeah, it was those were the fun days of I mean, it's still fun, we get to help more guys now, but when, I'm like, I knew that I had, like, the facial expression coaching and
Yes.
the shooting ability, but in terms of the business side or anything else, I'm like, I had no idea what I was doing, I'm figuring it out like everybody is.
No, it's great. I still use the things you taught me, like where you put your head forward a little bit. So when I was a family photo shoot or whatever, I go do this a little bit, and then I do the. I don't know how to do it.
Yeah,
So
it's
yes, you know how
it's
to do it.
raising the bottoms of the
Yeah, it
eyelids just
does.
slightly.
Yes, that's awesome.
Conveys confidence.
Yes. So that was a tough experience because I was so self-conscious, like probably a lot of your clients will be.
Mhm.
And you had a really good way to making me relax and or helping me relax. And we got, I think, a lot of really good pictures out of it. Yeah, I proof is in the pudding. It's not just Amanda, but the dates and the connections that came out of it before I got to her were definitely I could tell a huge difference.
Yeah.
Mm.
Just practice leading up until the one, right?
Yeah, because it never just starts with the one. It would be great.
Mhm.
Ideal is you just ring the bell and shoot the. It's a process. We go through a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
Good stories. Even share them with Amanda that we laugh about now. That's
Talking about past dates kinda thing?
yeah, yeah, for sure. And we both have seen the best and the worst, and we joke, "Don't throw me back out there." So both of us, we don't want to be out there again.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It was not. I didn't enjoy the process in and of itself. It just was meant to serve a purpose,
Mhm.
to reach a goal.
Now I gotta hear about the worst of the you have any stories that you remember? That any any funny ones to share of first dates or
Yeah, I mean, I had the typical experience that probably more women than men have. But one date we went to the wine. There's on Fourth Street. There's a wine kind of restaurant or wine bar. So we went there, progressed to sit down. Immediately didn't have a lot of spark, and then she progressed to for an hour straight just talk. I hardly ask any questions. She certainly didn't ask her about me. And then so we left. Um, and I said, you're great. And Guafila, she's like, yeah, probably. And then we just, so that's just, it's not particularly funny story and have a better one that I'm happy to tell if you have time. But that's just dating in a nutshell, a lot of it. And what I always try to do is move past the small talk.
Mhm.
And Amanda has her own story from her first date because that's what I did there. I go in, forget about how many brothers you have, where did you grow up, and just go in like, what do you like doing, what lights you up, and including, you go really, really deep, and that at least makes the date interesting, even if you don't end up being together. You had a good
Yeah.
time versus having small talk with just I see how people burn out because they're just doing small talk and I meet another person doing small talk and it's just not fun.
Yeah, I couldn't do small talk, which to a certain extent, it was, sometimes negative for my dating life because I'm like, I'm always the type to want to go deep and ask those questions. And, I'd always have this thing where I would overshare about my life and then, they would too, and then kind of get shocked that they shared all of those things. But I mean, for me, it was just, waiting until the right person came around that they appreciated the deep chats instead of just like the surface level stuff.
Yeah, I think a lot of dating coaches will tell you that you got to bring the emotion out I think there's a lot of truth to that. If you so you gotta poke the bear a little bit,
Mhm.
um, and be open and vulnerable like you were too. Not in terms of sharing things, maybe that are really sad or take the mood down. 'Cause this is a first date, right? So you're
Mhm.
not, but open up and then ask the questions. The best dates I had were where I just ask really, 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 really intrusive, like, questions, and she said, "Yep, I'll meet you right there, and I
Yeah.
raise you one more," and we had a great time, and a lot of dates, I don't know why, maybe my standards completely unrealistic, but I mostly had just first dates, and then I cut it off, so it was rare that I met anybody that I wanted to be even on a second date with, um, until I met Amanda, so, yeah.
Yeah. So what did you yeah, you could share some of those questions or just, what you learned kind of on the way to meeting Amanda.
I give you a story that is, interesting, and Amanda knows, so she can in case she listens to this. We laugh about it to this day, but that was where it can actually be, um, almost dangerous because at that point, I was just playing with it, and I was on a date with a woman from Eastern Europe, so we connected pretty well because 'cause I'm from Germany, and she was from I think she was from Russia. Um And we went to, ABBA on some South Congress.
Okay.
So we're sitting there at the bar, and I don't know, I was doing my thing. I was probably, whatever, many, many dates in. I just, and I asked her, the questions that go all the way to, like, sexual preferences, not right off the gate as we sit down, but you start and, like, you say little things like, "Oh, have you ever tried this?" Or, "What was the, craziest place you've ever had made love?" And that's shocking, but that gets an emotion going, and she will remember that date, and it will be different from our 10, 12 dates she had before, where she was just asked what her favorite color is. And where in that case it backfired, she was a very headstrong European woman, and at somewhere along the date, she really decided that she really liked me. And somewhere along the date, I was just having fun and decided that she's not for me. So I said, "Okay, so we had good times, everything good." I tell her, "Okay, I walk you to your car," and uh, so she was parked downstairs, and she said, "No." She grabbed my hand and she said, "Let's waffle a little boat." So, okay, lower masculine energy, and so she takes me down. We walk down Sub Congress a little bit, where Amy's ice cream is or whatever, and then we go backward to the where her car is, go in the garage, and she tries to kiss me, and I kind of kiss her back a little bit. And like, oh, where's this going? Um, and then she goes in the car, drives off, and it was like something. It really backfired because I don't know, whatever I tried to do at that day, it worked. Um, and then that's not the end of the story. So I text her the thing next day. It was great night, yours, just, didn't quite go match. And she's like, "What do you mean? It was great. We're going on another day."
Demanding it.
Yeah, if I probably don't have that anymore, but I would love to show you. It went very comical because I said, yeah, I kept saying the same thing and thinking, eventually if I say it 3 times in different words, eventually it'll sink in. But it just got more and more from there, where she was, "Oh, yeah, you seeing this completely wrong, and then you should probably get a counselor or something, 'cause you're really not over your wife's situation." And yeah, and I share things like that, and then she really was like, "Keep going." She was trying to convince me that we were meant for each other.
This is on text?
Yeah,
Or
at
she
this point, we never saw each other again because I wouldn't have wanted to. But she somehow almost decided that I was the one for her. At least she wanted to see me. And if you know Russian women, they can be very forward and headstrong.
Yeah.
So that was an amazing. And nothing bad came out of it. She didn't just stalk me or anything. It was just the conversation was amazing. So this is one of the more entertaining episodes of dating.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, with the, you just having fun. I remember you saying that, I think even a couple of years ago and talking about it. But what I've seen from the guys that are best on dates are guys that are just entertaining themselves. And, it's not necessarily, I don't mean that in like a rude sort of way, but it's like if you are walking down the sidewalk and you want to like jump over something. You wanna, like, just be, like, goofy, you wanna, like, say something to the waitress or, it's those are the guys that have the most fun dating and also are the most attractive because they're not thinking as much like, "Oh, what does she think about me?" And it's like
Yeah,
you're just entertaining
exactly.
yourself.
Yeah, and by extension, she absorbs your energy, she's entertained, she has fun. You're both having more fun. It's what she wants too.
Mhm,
It's not like you're entertaining yourself at her expense. You make it fun for both of you.
mhm.
So she'll get your energy, and then it makes a beautiful date,
Yeah.
right? The worst date is not necessarily one where you immediately don't like each other. The worst dates are where you just have and especially for introverts, where you just have a lame conversation for an hour and then you part ways.
Yeah.
What does that do for anybody?
Yeah.
So that's one thing I really, really learned and helped me a lot. And if I hadn't gone through the learning process, I wouldn't be with Amanda because I would have not, done it properly, if you will, um, to get the relationship going and gave it a chance, give it a chance to develop.
Yeah.
Because I would have screwed up in the beginning, and then we would have never gotten a chance.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's like training.
Can I share another funny one?
Yeah, yeah, I love these.
Okay. So I remember same spot, I think. So I met her on the dating app that's supposedly for more like sophisticated people or whatever. I forget which one it is.
League?
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, it was so I met her on the league, very, very beautiful woman. Um, so met her, do the whole thing, and she's one of the people who was like right in, and we have a good time, talk about all kinds of stuff, and um, great date. She's laughing and putting her hand on me, and I feel like, oh, I'm doing great. It's awesome how this all works, and I'm so good at this now. Then fast forward, week later, we do another date, some kind of coffee date. I still have the picture probably. Um, so we have a coffee, and then it's also doing great, and I feel like this is maybe going somewhere, and I'm a stud, and I can do this. And then she hits me with the old marketing student, and so I say, oh, okay, that sounds great, and I do arrangements to just help me with my expenses and stuff. So I'm like, oh. So, that arrangements, right? Yeah, you're very familiar with the
Seeking arrangements
seeking
sort of things,
arrangements. Yeah,
yeah.
I didn't meet her on there, but she was people and that would just, do that. And by the second date, she felt there was probably time to let me know. So I like, oh, but I'm not into that at all. That's not what I'm looking for. And I want someone who loves me, who I love, and who wants to be with me. And, that's why I'm here for. And it was just funny because I thought I was such a good dater and all that, because it went really well. And then I'm like, oh, you just want me to pay you to go on dates with me. And so that was funny.
Oh, that's a great
Yeah,
story.
it didn't crush my ego or anything because I did fine with women who were not looking for arrangements, but it was just, sometimes the universe just cuts you back a little bit when you're getting too proud
Yeah.
of yourself.
Did that, I mean, it's clear that your catch to a lot of these women that you were dating was that when you were entering into it, were you confident enough like this I think that's going to be the result, like that I'm going to have great dates, or was it surprising that things were going really, really well?
It was surprising for sure because in the beginning, remember I hadn't dated or, been with anybody. I'm sure along the way while I was married, people would look at me and say, yeah, maybe he's an interesting guy, whatever, but I was completely oblivious to it because I'm just, first of all, I don't pick up on stuff like that. Second of all, when I'm with somebody, I'm with that person, so it doesn't even register.
Yeah.
So I had no idea how whether I would ever be able to attract a woman. I was like, oh shit, now I'm 50 or so. Um, like who would be interested? Like a lot of your guys probably go through that. Maybe that's some glad you asked the question because it's the complete opposite. I couldn't even emphasize enough how complete opposite this is. Um, I was like, yeah, I'm an older guy now. I'm single again, and I'm stable. I'm not a young surfer dude who does crazy things, jumping off buildings. And the number of women who exactly are looking for that is unbelievable in all age ranges. I dated all the way back into the 20s, but only once or twice. Then I knew it was definitely that is not gonna work.
Yeah.
It's just no common ground. And
Right.
this was like, we're sitting having margaritas at Chewy's or whatever. I don't know, what am I doing here? Um, so no offense, more like in the vein of, okay, imagine, let's say we're together, she has her whole life ahead of herself. I'm in a completely different life stage. I don't want kids anymore. I cannot, in good conscience, date somebody and fall in love, have her fall in love with me, and then she cannot do all the things that were so rich in my life, having a partner, starting out together, having kids, seeing all those things would not have been possible for her, if she had been. And I knew that, there's probably a good chance that if I wanted that, I could have attracted somebody in their 20s but it would just been not a good thing for either them or me. So I learned that really quick. Um, and then in terms of being a guy in his late 40s at the time, um, yeah, the amount of interest was off the charts compared to what I heard other people say on podcasts. I can never get a single. I had one date this month, and
Yeah, it's crazy like, I've heard the same sort of thing from so many of, clients that are, 40 and above,
yeah,
that they're thinking that, their time is done, and, whether it's divorce or whatever sort of situation that leads to them trying with dating, it's like they feel like it's gonna be so difficult, and I've actually found that, 40 and above, they have a lot better experience rejoining the dating world because you know, you you're established. It's like people, they're not necessarily looking for a sugar daddy all the time, but they want somebody that, has things together, and they find that more attractive. And so it's yeah, to all the guys out there that that think their time is done. I mean, we've had, yeah, guys in, 60s and 70s that we've shot with that. I mean, there's always people looking.
it's so true. And you got to be, you can't be whatever overweight guy, schlubby outfit in your Skechers,
Yeah.
not shave or get a haircut. Yeah, that's not. But if you put yourself together, thinking like most interesting man alive or whatever that beer ad,
Yeah.
had something. Maybe being German helped a little bit because it's a little different. Not anything special or anything. It's just different from what gets served up or what you run into on the apps all day long. So I always had the advantage, at least, of usually getting a first date if I wanted one.
Yeah. So you were, still doing online dating, and um, Yeah, what was it? Tell me about it. You swiped on her?
Yes, she swiped on me. It was Bumble.
Okay.
So she had to do the opener. That's great. I remembered. She said, "Hey, great profile. I'm intrigued." And then it went from there. We had the little bit of conversation very briefly, and I was always wanting to get off the app and just
Mhm.
meet up in person because I always felt it's more fun to do. And I did, her profile was amazing because she just threw together some pictures and just her personality was in there. It was not one of those profiles where they were just leading with the bathing suit shot or
Mhm.
whatever. Um, so it was I like that right away.
Yeah.
Yes.
What'd you guys do for your first date?
We went to Laura's on South Lamar.
I love that spot. I think we've been yeah, we went there one time.
We went there probably, yes, and that's true. And you brought your camera. Yeah, and as soon as I was sitting on the bench when they still had that bench up front, and she walked up from the parking lot, and I immediately was amazed how beautiful, and just it clicked more or less right away. Not immediately for love or anything like that, but definitely was, yeah, there was something there right away for me.
Yeah, and you hit her with the deep questions right
Yeah, I
away?
did. I asked her a couple that to this day she will tell you she was almost taken aback by, and
Gotta tell us now.
yeah, I can't go too much into it because that's with us now. We're together and getting married. Um, and yeah, it was a great date. Um, it was beautiful and really very soon, thereafter, I put really all my other conversations and everything on hold, to just which I'd never done before. Um, Always kept things going and going, and then in this case, I said, "No, I wanna see where this goes. I really like her, um, and I see the potential there."
Yeah.
So I would, be very, polite about it, say, "Hey, I met somebody on the apps or whoever I was talking to, and met somebody, wanna see where it goes. I wanna be respectful, and so I'm gonna, uh, put this on pause," and they were all super grateful not grateful, but graceful, appreciated that I didn't just ghost them.
Yeah.
I don't like ghosting, so I always just said something.
Yeah. So were you guys hanging out a ton right away or took it a little slower?
I'm getting choked up just thinking about it. It's really beautiful. No, I because I probably wanted to, or guys are always we're quicker with our like. I really like her. We should be together. And all that. I think women take longer to warm up to that idea. Um, so here's where I think having the experience and getting some dating coach advice or whatever really helped because. Um, I was able to pace myself. And that was also I think, what worked for her. Several times along the way, she asked me to just be patient with me. And I said, fine, let take our time.
Can yeah, getting joked up. That's
Yeah, that's great. And we went through the usual, the initial. Yeah, we went to a Coda race day to see the cars. That was one of our early dates. Restaurants, um, and we just get to know each other. Um, And then she introduced me to fun things, like she told me about Round Top, where they have the antiquing, and so I booked us a weekend getaway and went antiquing, and it
oh, that's
was,
fun.
yeah, so, it was, very, um, classic kind of courtship or getting to know each other.
Yeah. What was it about her that stood out?
Everything.
Everything?
Yeah. Her how beautiful she is inside and out. How full of love she is, and she radiates, and she wants to take care of people and love them and wants to be loved, and I want somebody I can love. And she accepts it and loves it when I do. It's a really good fit for both of us.
Yeah.
I don't have the best words to put that into. We both like um, to uh, to be close to each other. Um, the physical closeness, for example, when we are in restaurants, we almost always sit next to each other, so we can like our legs can touch a little bit, or we sit even when there's only single people table, we try to sit next to each other,
Aw.
and be in physical contact, and we both love that so much.
Yeah, I just remember when I mean, I can't remember if I had texted you, like, checking in or if you had messaged me, but, we did the photo session, and that was just so much fun getting to see you guys interact and, just hanging out, just being with each other.
Yeah, I love her so much. Yeah, it's crazy. Um, and she had she had a lot of challenges in her life, which, I don't wanna go into too much because that's her business. Um, I wanna say that, that was a beautiful process because she was when we start seeing each other more and more, where she would trust me more and more to um, take care of her and love her and let that harder shell that she needed to get through life, let me into that. Um, and so that yeah, it's hard to say. Sometimes I feel like the universe is like, okay, we served you up this thing that was really tough, and you never understand why that was necessary because Sally was just a beautiful person, just the most amazing human being. And now this happened, but at least, we are going to put the two of you together. Um, and you are right for each other. And that I was feeling that early on. It's not like we didn't have our challenges and didn't know each other and all that, but um, that connection is amazing.
Yeah. Oh, I totally feel that with my wife and just just I mean, it's been so interesting to hear the other, success stories on the podcast of hearing, like, what someone else means to you, and, I usually ask something about, yeah, like, what's better together than, apart? Like, what's maybe talk about that.
It's like puzzle pieces in a way. Like I want to have somebody who I can cuddle and snuggle and love upon, and she wants to be cuddled and snuggled and loved upon, and it's just two puzzle pieces fit together. Um, yeah, it's a cliche a little bit, but that's how it feels.
Yeah.
It's really, and the connection gets deeper and deeper. Where we are now is not where we were a year ago, where we were a year before. We moved in together probably about a little over a year after we met. Um, and then got engaged.
Oh, you gotta tell me about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember texting about it that you were getting ready. Had you guys talked a lot about it, or was this like
No,
no?
no, not really. I knew that she would want to get married at some point because just little things like when come across her Pinterest or, little comments that she made, but never in a way that, "Hey, it's time," or anything. No, she was not it was not on her radar, or she wasn't really asking for it. It was for the longest time, I struggled with it. It's like I wasn't sure, am I ready? Do I want to get married again? I knew I wanted to get married again, um, but it feels such a big step. And so for a while, it was really weird because I'm not sure, I'm not sure, I'm not sure. I'm 100% sure.
Mm.
It wasn't a gradual process.
There's a moment where
Yeah, it was, and maybe not a moment, but it was from one day to the next or something. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, she's the one.
is there something that helped you get that clarity, or it just kinda came out of nowhere?
It just had to go through the process, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe with Ali, I don't know how it was with you guys, but there just the process of bonding, of getting to know each other, going on these trips together, and then living together, having fun, and being enjoying life together, and having the same kind of goals. No chill. She has 2 kids. I have 2 kids. We don't want more kids. Both love dogs. We want to get dogs. We like to travel, and we enjoy each other's company. Um, so that's a process, and then that process is just it's almost like maybe it just popped into my mind when you go to the water park and they have this giant bucket of water that is
Mm.
for the kids, and it slowly fills, and then every 5 minutes or so it just tips over and it is the giant waterfall comes down. So it was like that. I was just so sure, and then I couldn't wait.
Yeah. So what was the proposal like? Tell me about that.
We went on a trip to California. I knew about Amanda that she is not um, wanting to be like a public proposal. She's the opposite of that. Often joke the cliche proposal on the Jumbotron during a football game is 100% what she would have not wanted.
Yeah.
So we went to a place in California, a beautiful beach kind of town, and we had rented an Airbnb at a smaller place. It has a beautiful courtyard and with water, the waterfall, and just very nice settings. So we went out at night. I had the ring with me because I had two plans: one either at the beach or later at the courtyard.
So you were planning, like, this is the trip, like,
This is the trip. She
this
had
is
no
my time.
idea. One time, at one point, we were walking to the beach, and I had this ring in my with the thing in my pocket, and she came in for a hug or something. Shift around so she would, um, and then the beach was kind of cold and was windy, and there was no sunset or anything because it was cloudy. So I aborted the beach plan, and then we had dinner, a good time, and then we went back to the place. I said, "Well, before we go upstairs to our condo or whatever, why don't we sit in the courtyard for a moment and chill, just enjoy the quiet evening." It was super quiet, and just the water, and there were 2 seats, and we're just sitting there a little bit, and then, yeah, that's where it happened.
Were you nervous?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It was, nerve-wracking. And it was something I planned at the ring, and, I was nervous in a sense that I wanted it to be, meaningful. I was not nervous in the sense of, "Is this the right thing to do?" I was, like, never more sure of anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I was terrified. Not of the response. It's like I knew she was gonna say yes, but it was just yeah, it's like I can't remember many moments in the past few years where it's like the heart's pounding that much.
For sure. That's beautiful.
Yeah. What were the so I just think back to the next few days after that, and my co-founder, Shane, it's I was telling him, I was gonna propose, and he was just like, you know, take the next few days off afterward, and because he had proposed, to his girlfriend, recently before that, and he was just saying how special the next few days were, and it's like that it wasn't really something I had thought about. It's like, "Oh, cool, like, yeah, you go to dinner after you propose," or, however it happens, but he had advised me to, like, take off the next few days, like, do a trip, something like that, and so I always, ask about something like that.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Didn't even think about that. We were on that trip and it was perfect because there was no family there, no friends, nobody else we needed to pay attention to or make plans with. So we were on a trip and we came back engaged.
Yeah.
And she
Did
had
you
the
tell friends?
ring and she would look at it. And
Yeah, Allie would always, like, anytime it caught with the lights, she's like,
yes,
"Oh, it just sparkles so much."
yes. And the technology nowadays, maybe that's a tip if anybody wants to propose. Because in my case, it was actually at night, but it's also nice for the day. On Amazon, you can buy the boxes nowadays for the ring holder, and they open just like normal, but they have a little LED light in them. Have you
Oh.
ever heard of that?
No, I
So when
haven't.
you flip it open, the light comes on, it's a tiny little battery, and then it shines right on the diamond ring, and so it makes it extra sparkly looking.
Oh, that's fun.
It's so fun, and it's especially for night proposal.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was nervous, I didn't know what to do, so I had probably I bought 3 or 4 different ring holders from Amazon and tried them all out.
Oh, that's so sweet. I just used the one it came in, and what they need to do is make ones that are less bulky, but that kinda defeats the purpose of that nice folding box. But I, had it in the back pocket and, yeah, hoping that she wouldn't catch on.
Yes, and I from so it wasn't because I know people do it 2 ways. One way is everybody knows and there's a photographer and then all the family is there, or you do it as a surprise. So you did it as a surprise too.
As a surprise, but also had a photographer.
Okay.
I,
I guess you could not have one.
Yeah, right.
It's just hard to explain where's this guy with the camera back there, and it's just him and us in the woods.
Yeah, I mean, we had one of my, Austin photographers, and, I had told Allie that we were that my co-founder wanted new headshots for the website with a uniform background, and I was like, "Oh, some of these photographers," at the time, like, they're all in town, and they're meeting us out by, Town Lake, and, and I'm just, looking at my phone and, "Oh, where are they at?" It's like, "Oh, we have to walk over here." Meanwhile, I'm just so terrified that I'm just trying to cover for how nervous I am, like, "Oh, he said he's over here," and I know that what my photographer's hiding, like, in the trees on the trail, and, yeah, we just yeah, went out there and then, she's so cute at the same I mean, so intelligent, but also, like I think I told this on another podcast, but, um, she was, "Oh, so we're like, are we still, like, doing the headshots?" It's like, "No." It's like, that was all some white lies.
Yes, that was so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, from Amanda's reaction, I could tell it was a surprise. That
Yeah.
was
She had no
beautiful.
idea.
No, she's very super perceptive of a lot of things. She's very empathetic. She will pick up on people's energies and tell me, "Hey, did you notice this or that?" I'm like, "What? No." And so, you know, she did not pick up on that, or at least, yeah, that's the fun part too. And we did no photos because it was night. And then next morning we went down and we kind of restaged it a little bit. And
Okay.
that's one of the people took some pictures of us. So we have some photos.
Oh, I would've flown there in a heartbeat to hide out.
Yeah, we're very yeah, we both of us not like um want to make a big deal out of anything, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. So we're very private and um so, yeah, it didn't even occur to me to go to that length because I didn't think I would have wanted that, and she probably didn't either, so
Yeah.
it was just right, the 2 of us. I feel very fortunate to have her.
So how soon is another question I like, but how soon after the proposal was she talking wedding planning, or did she start?
I think the engagement was for both of us was enough at that moment. That's what we wanted. We just wanted to be engaged. And then we started wedding planning, and then we're so in love. Sometimes we will just say, God, let's just get it over with. Go to Vegas. I just gonna marry you so hard, and we'll be done with it. And then where it comes in is for the wedding, you have your family and such, and you want it to make meaningful for them too. So you kind of want to have a wedding, and I want to have a wedding too. So we started slowly planning, and we're very slow at it because life is so busy, and you way overtook us. You met later than we did, and then you got married way sooner. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
We didn't have that go-getter attitude about it.
I was just yeah, I feel like I was ready, and I was in my mind, I was ready a lot sooner than I did propose, even though it was only like, a year and a half or something, but I I remember feeling this idea of like, because you gotta, for me, I was like, I've gotta ask her dad. And it was kind of like, what's the acceptable length of time that, like, the earliest acceptable length of time before I can propose is kind of like how I was thinking. Also at the time, being able to afford a ring, like just out of COVID and, like that was
Your
part of it too.
business was just starting to take off.
Yeah. So what's life like now versus pre-engagement? You're already living together, but like how do things feel versus before that?
Um, not for me as much. I like that bond. I already refer to her as my wife, and it's just easier. And a fiancée is a long and difficult word, so oftentimes I just say wife. Um, and I'm in my life always had these just when I'm with somebody, I'm with them. So whether I'm married or not married, it doesn't really, so even to me, the being married part is the goal, but to your question, it's not really changing anything fundamentally because I'm already in my mind married, and there's no doubt, there's no um it will not change anything in my mind because I'm already with bonded to this person, and whatever we want to call that, but I'm 100% in. um and that will just be the exclamation point.
Mhm. That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
That's yeah, and not maybe to bring it back all the way, but without the pictures and all this, none of this would have happened. Um, we joke sometimes, and it's almost painful to think about that she could have just swiped the other way and never, and there was a all me, it's a split second where you just, plenty of times I accidentally swiped the wrong way because I forgot which way is which, or I wasn't paying attention. So, and then to this, I always say the universe, God, whatever, may wanted this to happen. That was just how it happened. So it's, so I feel very secure that it was meant to happen one way or the other. Amanda sometimes thinks when I just say jokingly, well, what if you hadn't said anything because it was Bumble? She had to say something first. She's like, oh, don't say that because it's so terrible to think. And I think it was just, it was going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. You have a poetic way of talking
Yeah.
about it.
And so if you look at it practically, um, without the having good pictures and without me having learned as a guy not to be too much too early on, that kind of stuff. Because she was definitely a little bit. She wasn't almost like a kitten or, a butterfly, a bird. We had to be very careful and nurture the relationship first. If I had come in like, "Oh, let's meet 3 times this week," and
Like the
then
Russian gal?
yeah, 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 or, like guys do, "Well, let me go something on Friday, and on Sunday I have this," and it would have probably scared her away, even though I wanted it probably, where I would have done it more. So I look at my whole dating journey as I learn what I don't want. I learned how when I saw her and met her and started to learn her, it helped me understand and be patient with her. Um, and the pictures helped in a sense that they made the first connection. Because if I had stupid pictures, she would have swiped left probably. Um, so, because she didn't know anything about me at the time. And so I'm very grateful for the pictures. I'm grateful that I had the chance to learn relationships again. And then when the time was right, she came into my life and I came into hers. Um, yeah, that's how I look at it.
Wow. It's such a beautiful story, just all of it and how you talk about, universe, God sort of thing and bringing you guys together and yeah, lots of pain before that, but it's seems like it's working out.
Yeah, for sure. And it's life goes in chapters. And um, my my life got completely. We were. That's one of the things I'm torn up about it too. One of the things the most that we were on this track. We were dual income. We had no kids, and we're saving good amount of money, so we could retire. And we were starting to get closer to that point, and we just thought, "Oh, we're going to travel, or new plans." And then she just passed away, and she didn't get to do any of it. And so I feel like that's so profoundly unfair because Sally was just such a beautiful person, and she didn't get to do all the things to see Liam and Lucas graduate and then us having time together and all that. She didn't get that. That seems very unfair, and also gives me an urgency about life, right? To be intentional and don't take anything for granted and don't plan your life in decades, make every day count, every month. Um, so it's, and now, for me, Dr. Mann, interview her, but for me, having her means I get to live life again. Um, because I have somebody that I love and can share it with. And when we go on these trips, you traveled alone, you traveled with Ellie. It's just more fun when you go to a new, exciting place and you see it and it's so cool. And then there's nobody there. Maybe you can post it on Facebook. But, when you have somebody to do it with, it's like 10 times better.
Yeah. I mean, you expressed the regret, but I think, based on your conversations and what I know, it's like this is what Sally wanted for you, right? Like this is you
That's
did it. Like you're
I have no doubt about it, and I have no doubt if it was the other way around, that's what I would want for her.
yeah.
Yeah. So in summary, I'm happy. I'm happy with Amanda. I'm happy that we met, and I can't believe that life, how my life has turned out so unexpectedly. Like even meeting Sally back, the randomness of it. She came from Trinidad. I came from Germany.
Yeah.
We're in the same year in this MBA program. She had gone a year before. And you know, I I think life is just sometimes like that.
Yeah. Wow.
And you got to buy the lottery ticket. So so if I had never done anything to find her, I would not have found her.
Yeah. You talk about chapters. What's obviously there's the wedding, but in terms of chapters with Amanda that you've not experienced yet, what's the it could be next week, it could be a few years from now. Like what's a chapter you're really excited for with Amanda?
All of it. I mean, it's all of it. The journey. I firmly believe as humans, we always think, however we are right now and however things are right now, that's the way they're gonna be forever, right? To which I then say, look just 5 years back, not even 10, just look 5 years back. How was your life so different? And then just rationally know that 5 years from now, your life is gonna be completely different again. And so I'm just excited having somebody with me on that journey. I want to give Amanda all the space for her journey. It's one of the things I love about her. She gives me all the space to be on mine. And we come together and journey um, every step of life together. Right now, she's doing a documentary that she's super excited about.
Wow.
And then I'm starting together with her and a couple of friends, we're starting a real estate project. Um, just and we travel, we pick new places to go. We went to Montreal, we went to California, we went on a train ride, so much fun stuff. And what I'm excited about is to do whatever comes, what we want to do together.
That's beautiful.
That was the goal because I didn't want to be alone. So
Well, to wrap up, what's your advice?
one big piece of advice is not to give up when you're uh, let's say divorced or widowed, and think nobody will want you. It's the complete opposite. Second piece will be put in the effort um, to to learn all about what your goal is and then just move forward, create the opportunity.
Mhm.
It's like that old joke about that's what I meant with the lottery ticket earlier, where guy every day prays to God, God make me rich, send me money, I'm so poor. You heard that one probably. And then eventually, after 6 months, finally God has it and tells the guy, "Well, I would love to help you, but can you please buy a ticket?" So yeah, it's that, like, know what you want, and
Mhm. That's beautiful.
thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah,
This has
thanks for
been very different from what I expected it to be. So
yeah, better, I hope.
it feels good to be able to tell your story. It helped me tell the story, and I love talking about Sally. I love talking about Amanda. I love both of them so much. Um, and thank you for letting me share that.